Hi there. What I'm going to teach you now is how do we train a computer through machine learning. All right. So, AI machine learning is a big trend now, but let me tell you first how machine learning works before we proceed to programming. Now, before, the traditional way of programming is we tell the computer the input, and then we tell the computer the rules, and then the computer solves the output. Now, a good example here is, for example, a calculator. We tell them the input, like, for example, the numbers 4, 7, 5, and 8, and then we tell the computer to multiply those numbers. When we say multiplication or multiply, those are the rules. And then from the input and then the rules, and for the multiplication rules, the computer now solves the input, or that solves the output. I'm sorry. So, for example, the input is 4, 7, and 8. The rules is multiplication. So we program the computer to multiply this one, and then the product, the multiplication product, is the output, and the computer solves it. So that is the traditional way of programming. Now, say for example this one, okay, the traditional way of programming based on my example earlier. The old way of programming is we tell the input, we have the onions, garlic, chicken, and then the soy sauce, and then we tell the computer the rules. Saute the garlic and onions, add the chicken, cook the chicken until tender, then add the soy sauce slash vinegar. And then once the computer now makes solves these rules, the computer now solves the output. Or for example, the output is chicken adobo. So that's the traditional way of programming. We tell the input, we tell them the rules, and then the output, which is solved by the computer, um, is, for example, the chicken adobo. Now, what about machine learning? Machine learning, however, is different. Okay, sorry. Now, for example, here, let's just read this line per line before I give an example. For machine learning, we tell the computer the output. We do not tell the computer the rules, but we only show a sample output to the computer. Now, based on the sample output and the input that we give the computer now figures out the rules. Okay, so based on the input and output, the computer now figures out the rules on how the output was brought about. So here, if we look at this last bullet here, the computer now can make several outputs based on the rules discovered by the computer. All right, so let's go back here. For machine learning, this is the input. We have our ingredients, the onions, garlic, soy sauce, and the chicken. The rules, however, are hidden to the computer, to the machine, okay? However, as a programmer, you just show a sample output to the computer, which in our case is chicken output or chicken adobo. Now, based on the sample output, okay, and there should be input based on the sample output and input figured out by the computer. The machine now can predict or come up with a new dish. So here, based on the sample output, the computer now discovers or tries to discover the rules based on our input and output, so that the computer now or the machine can predict or come up with a new dish. So here, for example, based on the rules discovered by the machine, the possible outputs based on the rules it figured out, for example, it could be a roasted chicken. What else? You have the fried chicken and so on, or simply even an entire new dish unknown to man, because it's the computer or the machine who discovered the rules or came up with its own rules. So it can come up, or the machine now can come up with an entire dish unknown to man. Okay, so get the point. All right, so hopefully you get that point. Now, hence, this is the term what we call machine learning. So the machine is learning on its own. Based on the input and the output that we gave, the machine the machine now is learning on its own. Okay. So here we go back here, all right? We go back to this diagram in terms of programming, okay? This one, okay, on this one, the input are what we call features. Okay, that's what we call in machine learning programming. The rules, the circles here in the middle, are what we call rules or layers. Because these are the terms that we're going to now program. And their sample output in machine learning, it's what we call output or labels. Okay? All right. So now the next lesson here. Imagine the following numbers shown to a 1-year-old baby: 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Okay? The 1-year-old maybe knows how to count, but if we say 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, does the 1-year-old baby knows the next sequence? He doesn't know any arithmetic operations. He only knows 1 to 10, right? Of course, the 1-year-old baby does not know the next number here. Even if he or she knows how to count 1 to 10, the 1-year-old baby does not yet know how to add. All right? So here, how can the baby predict the following number? Given that question, so for example, our baby is Frankenstein. Without teaching Frankenstein any arithmetic operations such as addition, multiplication, and so on, how can we train the computer or Frankenstein to predict the next number? So that is what machine learning is all about. All right, so here we train the Frankenstein. We train Frankenstein or the computer through machine learning using the model below. If you remember here, we have the input. We tell him the input. We show him the output or the labels, and then the machine or Frankenstein now determines now the rules on his own. He learns on his own by determining the rules or the layers on his own. All right, so I'll see you in the next video for our first machine learning program. Okay, see ya.